Hey everybody, welcome to Trendy Trading. My name's Jonathan. Happy New Year's. Today is the 2nd of January, 2023. Let's get started with our broad market analysis. So first things on the list are going to be our earning whispers that I'm using out there on Twitter. They do a very good job of just kind of lining this stuff up, and I have heavily relied on them for over the last several years. It's free information that's out there, and you can see that it's a pretty mild week far as earnings are considered. But we do have banks coming up in the next couple weeks, and then after that, we'll be getting into some big tech. So gearing up for earnings season, and I do believe that this kind of get us started maybe with Constellation Brands, getting an idea of what's in store for this quarter in 2023. There's not a whole lot of names on here that I really pay attention to, so again, very short week. Next thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be our market watch. And of course, we always want to know what's on here just to have an understanding of what can create some volatility in the market. Typically, I will underline or circle what I feel is important. Today is a holiday, as you guys know. And then tomorrow for Tuesday, January the 3rd, we do have manufacturing PMI coming up, construction spending, and these are in Eastern time. And I am in Central Time here in Florida. So again, it's 1:39 here. This is Eastern Time over here. Wednesday, job openings, and also at 2 p.m. Eastern, we have FOMC minutes. And again, I do believe that these underlying could cause some volatility in the market. On Thursday, we have ADP employment, initial jobless claims, and then we have PMI at 9:45 as well. Then on Friday, our schedule here, non-farm payrolls. You guys can see I have that underlined. I would expect a little bit of volatility in the market due to that econ news. The next that I want to be talking about is going to be the SPY and QQQ neutral results from the previous week. The biggest thing that I want to point out, these are going out to our members and our subscribers for our newsletter. This is your neutral strategy. Remember, any levels to the upside are resistance until proven otherwise, and your lower levels are support until proven otherwise. And you can see we found support at the lower levels of SPY. We pushed up and notice that the top neutral line was resistance until proven otherwise. It just pretty much stopped SPY in its tracks last week, but the lower levels did serve as support. Over here on the QQQ, you can see that we gapped up into our T1 between T1 and T2 targets right here. Notice that the top neutral again was resistance. Notice that our lower levels did serve as support. And we had a nice little run up into Friday, basically when most retail traders were already finished for the day. We do have new levels going into this week. I did make a note here in the room that I'm still interested in these top neutral numbers on both the QQQ and SPY. Although the numbers will be different this week, I'm still interested and think you should pay attention to these levels because we know that they are resistance for right now. Okay. Next level, let's go ahead and look at SPY. This is going to be your neutral strategy for this week, folks. And I pointed out that we have this channel, and the idea here for me is anytime price is rising into the higher end of that channel, I want to be cautious. I want to be thinking about, trimming any longs, pulling those stops up. So again, the closer we get to the high end of this channel, I want to be cautious. And as we get lower on this channel, I want to be thinking about going long. So again, buying the dips, selling the rips until we can prove that the price of the particular stock in this ETF, this SPY, can hold over this channel, then I'm not really interested in doing much more or getting too convicted to either side until that channel is broken. If you notice here, the neutral levels are 383.80 by 380.6. Just take a snapshot of this. Each one of these levels to the upside are going to be resistance or where I want to trim if I end up going long. And to the downside at 380.6, if we break down, I'm looking at these levels. Notice that the levels in general are pretty tight. Right here we have 382. The level up here to the top is 390. To the to the lower end is 374. So really at the end of the day, this is well below the expected ATR. So I'm kind of calling for a pretty tight range again until we can break out uh, on either side of that channel or break down. Okay, so that is SPY, and that is your neutral strategy going into this short week. And again, I don't think that I made a comment on that. I do think it's very important that once again, we do have just a 4 day week, and typically short weeks are not that great. But again, we'll let price action kind of lead the way there. Now, the next chart that I'm going to show you is the SPY quarterly. Some notes here to talk about on this chart. Okay. And that is going to be, it wasn't a bad close. It was better than the Qs. I'll say that. The price is still inside the cloud. So I want to make some notes here. So again, price is still in the cloud. This is an EMA cloud. 9, 13, and 22 is what I use. This is a nice visual effect to understand trend. We know that the price of SPY and anything that we're looking at when we're above the 9, things look really good. We want to be in that mode of being long, right? Well, when we're in the cloud, and especially because we have topping wicks, we just want to be careful until price can show us that it can break out above that. And again, if we go over to the SPY neutral strategy that I just showed you, if we start to break above that neutral, we should be starting to get out of that cloud. That's roughly around 386.68 of the price of SPY. Now, some other notes here, price is still under the bullish channel. So this right here, this is the Fibonacci that we're using for the entire quarterly candle of last quarter. And as long as price stays below the 38.2, which is also confluent with the cloud, then I do believe we stay bearish here. Okay, so again, a nice line in the sand going into this week. The body is fairly small. This is important because we forecast a lot of different structures, right? We're looking for demand. We're looking at front-running demand. We're looking at supply zones and so forth. For example, let me give you a quick example. Notice that this candle is very wide, okay? And so is this one, really. So this is being your initial candle here, this big one, all right? And we have a lot of room for the next candle to close within that body. Well, when we have a really small body, we don't typically see that the next quarter closes within the body. So that gives me two different looks here. It makes me feel like we either have a very boring quarter. For example, when it does happen, look at this. The body is super small right here. And look at this candle here. This candle is extremely boring. This is a doji. This is pretty much neutral candle. It's just not a great quarter. And there wasn't a whole lot to do. I'm kind of curious what month that happened. I'll have to go back and take a look at that. And the next thing is, or we can have a really nice engulfing quarterly candle. I mean, preferably what I'd like to see, and I talk about this in the 2023 projection that I did on SPY. I personally would like to see a nice little flush and then, some sort of engulfing candle that looks like this. But again, you'll have to check out my video coming out on YouTube in a couple hours that talks about my 23 projection. They've been great for the last several years, and I would expect you to take a few minutes to take a look at that, okay? So again, this quarterly candle, again, the body's really small, so I do expect something big to happen here, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and move on into QQQ neutral. Okay, so this is our Q neutral strategy. The neutral here is 266.85 by 26467. It's pretty small, so your risk is small. A couple things to note here is that we are breaking out above the cloud on the 4-hour. It looked the same way on the SPY. I like that look. Notice that the neutral is below the candle. So for some reason we dip down into the neutral. I'll be looking for buyers to show up in here. Again, your resistance levels are noted here. Just take a quick screenshot or check it out in the room there and you guys can get the bigger picture. But it's 268.53, 270, 273. Again, 263 to the downside, 261.88, 260.62. Looking at current price, again, this is really tight. tight, folks. This is well below the average ATR. Again, it's a short week. If I was the market and I was trying to take advantage and take people's money, basically what I would do is, give you a nice little direction on Monday, bring it in, chop it for the next 2 days, not really give you anything exciting. But if you buy into the premium on Tuesday, then just be careful because you're really going to need things to move in the direction you're picking, or they could suck the premium out of it being another short week. Okay? So, big thing here this week is be patient, don't chase anything, wait for things to come back into these levels, to these lines before I make any decision to go long or short. Okay. All right. So that is that on QQQ neutral. All right, and let's get over here and take a look at QQQ for the quarter. So let's go ahead and open this. All right, looks just like that. And some notes here as well. There's been 4 quarters of candles down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This fourth candle did not close inside this candle. Folks, I use what's considered filled and hollow candles. Your filled candles close at the bottom and your hollow candles close at the top. Just in case any of you are new and don't understand that, it is different than your typical candle. These are called trend candles, okay? So 4 quarters down. The 13 EMA is holding so far. The 618 of the rally that I measured, we're currently under that. And the question is, will it now be resistance? That's in my mind. If we start to bid above 268.17 and hold above that, I'd like to see price start to move back towards this line up here at around 299. But again, that's a big if with earnings coming in. Obviously, I think we may get like a little bit of a move and then we kind of go sideways and until we start hearing from these bigger companies coming into earnings. Okay. I remain neutral with that 618 there as a line in the sand. Note that the inside and up is very wide, but the targets within are crucial levels. So down here. So if for some reason we cannot sustain bids and the projection of the earnings are not where the market is looking, I do expect price to come down into the 238.61 area. And what I'm noting on that is that each one of these levels are very important to me. Okay, 214, 193, and so forth. And again, just like the SPY, we are in the cloud. I would expect volatility and it also to be really choppy until we can start to bid over or under this cloud. Okay, so a lot of room in here to kind of just mess around and continue that 2022 trend with being pretty volatile, pretty choppy, and intraday trading kind of being the go-to when it comes to QQQ and its type weighting in that ETF. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go into the dollar or the DXY. We'll open up the original here. And you could see, folks, that this has played out just like we expected it to. I've been saying this since we saw this inside candle that the dollar would move back down into this inside and up. And we are almost there. Now, the thing about this is that the dollar is so close to getting to the inside and up, we could see a push up. But everything else that I'm looking at, especially the skew, is telling me that perhaps the dollar could dig in a little bit deeper. Either way, it's coming into an inside and up formation. We want to take a little bit of caution here. But as long as price is staying below these channels, I do believe that we could dig deeper. The next level, if it doesn't come in, at the top of this box, I would expect it to pull back into 101.10. All right, so that's what I'll be looking for. If it starts to bid here, the dollar starts to find some traction, just be cautious on your longs. Okay. The next thing is going to be the TNX. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Treasury. All right, and my notes here, possible that this pulls back to the 9 EMA on the monthly, but only if it fails to make a new pivot high over the previous monthly high. Temporary caution over 3.99, folks. And what I'm talking about, That 3.99, it's been there for a long time. So if you've been following along, then this chart does not look new to you. And the 9 EMA that I'm referencing is right here. All right, and that is at around 3.312. And temporary caution once again above that 3.99. The pivot that I'm talking about is going to be that previous candle's topping wick. If we start to bid above that, I think we could be in trouble for a bigger leg down. Okay, in the market. So just so that I'm clear. The next thing is going to be the skew. I just tweeted something out on this on Twitter. You guys know that I've been referencing this in the last time that this level hit. In 2022, the market moved up 200 points. Now, obviously, that doesn't always happen, but these are extreme. And as far back as I can look, as far as the skew is concerned, if you were to put the SPY behind this, you will see that it's just a matter of time before the SPY goes bid. Okay, so when this hits these extreme levels, basically what that's telling us is that hedge funds and the powers to be, the majority of participants are fearful. They're on the put side, and they tend to run the market up when we see levels down here like this. Okay, so again, the skew was coming in at 113.57. So this does fall into the risk on category. Of course, it's a daily thing. You know, it's an intraday until proven otherwise, but I would expect the market to go bid at or around these levels, meaning to the upside. Okay. The fear and greed was 37. It actually ticked 2 points to the downside this last week. So it was 39 the previous week. And so people are more fearful than they were the previous week. Again, I feel like we're kind of setting up for a great recipe for the market to move up, just to kind of throw some people off that were maybe, concerned or scared going into uh, the new year, I guess. All right. So that's your fear and greed. And then I have my 2023 projection. And I placed those charts inside the room. But again, if you're spectating or watching, from the outside, I'll be putting that video out there on YouTube later on this evening with this broad market analysis video as well. The only thing that I ask from all of you, if you're taking the time to watch this, is to please, out on Twitter, retweet that tweet, whether you have 10 followers or 100, it doesn't matter. I really appreciate your support. Give it a like as well. I really appreciate that. That lets me know that you're watching it, that you like the content, and that way I can feel the motivation to continue to give you these type of videos and so forth. Once again, I really appreciate your support. Can't wait to trade with you in 2023. And that is going to sum up the broad market analysis. As far as future charts go for ES and NASDAQ, those are in the room. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I appreciate it. We'll see you tonight in the futures room. See you soon.